Hey y'all, welcome to our channel. Today for you I'm going to make banana bread. So let's get started. Alright, so first what you're going to need to do is put a whole stick, 8 tablespoons of room temperature butter inside of a mixer, or you can use a hand mixer or you can use a whisk by hand if you'd like. Either way, all of it works the same. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to look for a creamy consistency for our butter. So go ahead and get that turned on. And as it is starting to cream, I will tell you that I do like using this paddle that has the flat side because it scrapes the bowl as it goes around. Once your butter starts getting fairly mixed up there, creamed, start adding your sugar. And you want to use a cup of sugar, white sugar that is. And I kind of like to go slow so it doesn't come out and make a big old mess. Alright, it's a cup of sugar. Start out slow. You can kind of turn it up a little bit. And what we're looking for here is a creamy, fluffy consistency. So it's going to have to go maybe a minute or two. Alright, so you see how that we're starting to get kind of the creamy. You can't really tell that there's sugar in there any longer. Here, I'll turn it off so you can have a better look. So that's kind of what you're looking for there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 room temperature eggs, but you only want to add 1 at a time, and then you want to let it mix well. Alright, that egg looks like it's pretty well mixed in, so let's go ahead and add the other one. We'll turn this up just a hair. There we go. Okay, so now that we've got this part done, now we need to move on to preparing the bananas. So we'll go do that and we'll be right back with the mixer. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 ripe bananas and we're going to get them all mashed up. I did actually forget to say that you do need to preheat your oven to 325 and go ahead and spray or butter a loaf pan, which is a 9 by 3 by 5. This recipe is actually calls just for 1 loaf pan. You can double the recipe and make 2 loaves of bread if you would like. Let me get this a-going here. My bananas are not as ripe as I would like them to be for this recipe. However, I think they're going to work just fine. So what you're going to do, basically, is just go in with a fork and mash it up. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. No big large chunks in there. Looks fairly mashed up. Now let's move on to the next step. What you're going to need is 1 tablespoon of milk. This is whole milk. I've not ever tried it with almond milk or coconut milk or low fat milk for that matter. I'm sure it'll be okay. However, I'm not 100% sure. So, 1 tablespoon of milk going in. Right, so next what we're going to do is add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. This is a ½ teaspoon measure. So 1, 2 equals 1 teaspoon. Mix that up. Okay, now what we're going to do is just set that to the side and move on to the flour, the dry mixtures. So you need 2 cups of flour. I've already measured out 1 cup of flour, but I wanted to show you how to measure flour out in a cup measure. You don't want to just dig down into there and get the flour in there. If you're making a bread especially, you need to be a little more exact and you want to have air in there. So basically what I do is I just take a spoon and spoon it into my cup measure here. And then just level it off. You can use a knife if you'd like, but the spoon handle works just as well. Into the bowl. So we need 1 cup of flour, and to this I need to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda, baking powder, and fine salt. So here is my teaspoon of baking soda. my 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And also, if you guys didn't know, I'll show you a little trick. If you didn't know what you do to level off in your baking powder, all you have to do is scrape up to the top and it levels it right off. Well, it does most of the time, but it did not work for me today, so let's try that again. Have a scoop, level it right off, and there's your 1 teaspoon. And then we need 1 teaspoon of salt. Same thing. Go in, level it off, 1 teaspoon. Okay, let's mix this together. Now, we can go back to the mixer and we're ready to put it all together. Okay, so now we've got our creamed butter, egg, and sugar. We've also got our mixed mashed bananas with cinnamon, and then our flour, baking soda, salt, and baking powder mixture. So what we're going to do is just add it all together and blend it up. I personally like to add my banana mixture first. And I'm going to trade utensils here because I think it'll be a lot easier with this. So anyway, like I was saying, I like to add my banana and cinnamon mixture first and then add my dry ingredients, because when you put the flour in, you do not want it to, basically you just blend them just till combined. You do not want to over mix after you add your flour mixture. Now, let's turn this up and give it a whirl. Now, during this process, as you can see, if you're using a stand mixer, you might have to go in and scrape your sides down. And I do recommend doing that whether you're making any kind of bread, cake, or anything that you're using inside of your mixing bowl, is to scrape the sides to make sure everything gets combined. So now, let's turn the sucker around so I can use it to scrape my spatula. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn it back on just for a moment, just to make sure everything is mixed up. And we are. Very good. So now we can add the flour. Now this is the tricky part. I definitely recommend only adding a little bit of flour at a time as it's turned on. If not, you're going to have a big old mess. So hopefully that's not going to be what happens today. But we shall see. About a spoon at a time. See how that's going. See how that's actually fluffing up. If you add too much at one time, it will come back out. And I have had that mess before and had to start all over because I didn't know how much flour escaped my bowl. I'm just going to pour the rest of this in because it's ready now. After it starts thickening up a little bit, you can add your flour. See what I'm talking about? There you go. Get back in there. Okay, let's make sure it's combined. That looks good to me. Perfect. Let's go back in with our fancy dancy spatula and scrape it all down. Okay, so I've scraped down the blade. Now I am going to make sure there's all scraped from the sides of the bowl. Everything is looking great. Let me take this out here so I can show you what kind of consistency we're looking for. We're looking for a dough consistency, but thinner than what biscuit dough comes out to be. Okay, now it's ready for our pan. So you get your prepared dish, pan ready, loaf pan, and then just pour it in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven and we're going to bake it for about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. I have found that depending on the humidity in the house, for some reason, that makes a difference. Sometimes it comes out and it only needs an hour. Sometimes it needs that extra 10 minutes. So, I'm going to spread it out here. Thank you, sir. And get it just evenly in my pan. All right. And there we go. Now, like I said, it's ready for the oven now. So I'm gonna got my oven preheated to 325. I'm gonna stick it in there for an hour, and then we should be ready to go in about 15 minutes after that to slice in. So get her in the oven. Alright, so what we want to do, take a toothpick, go straight into the middle, come out clean, so we're done. So mine only took an hour today. Sometimes it does need that extra 10 minutes. When you pulled that toothpick out and it had a little bit of cakey residue, then cook it until it does not have that residue any longer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get out a little cooling rack here. We're going to flip it out carefully and let it cool for about 15 minutes, and we'll cut into it and check it out.
Beth make bread. Still warm.
It's so good. It's so good. Guys,
I appreciate y'all tuning in. Man, we have had a blast doing this video. This bread is absolutely amazing. Y'all don't tell Beth I've already started eating it. But if you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Tick that bell so you know when we get new videos uploaded. And stick with us because we're going to be coming to you with more delicious video. I mean, really good video. This is delicious.